In this tutorial, I shared how I made this simple blouse with draped sleeve. The highlight of this blouse is actually the sleeve and the stylish peplum that I put by the side. I love the simplicity of this blouse. I wish I can make so much more for myself. So now let us jump into this tutorial. To begin, these are the materials I used. This is the plain black fabric I used, and the fabric is crepe. It has a little bit of stretch. This is also the Ankara fabric that I used. I did not even use up to half a yard. For my pattern alteration, I would be drafting the front on this part of my pattern paper and the back would be on this part of my pattern paper. I've also got my chest line that runs through from the front to the back, the bust line, the under bust line, the waistline for the front and the waistline for the back. I've also got the full length line for the front and the full length line for the back. To begin the alterations, the first thing I would do is to draw in my waist dart, and I am using 1 inch for dart allowance. The waist dart would run from the bust line to the full length line. After that, I would do my underbust tightening, and I'm marking 1 inch towards the side of the front pattern, and I will draw the underbust curve in this manner. I'll connect that to the waistline and just smoothing it so that I do not have a sharp edge. Next, I would be marking my horizontal measurement. On the chest line, I am placing a quarter of the bust measurement. On the waistline, I am placing a quarter of the waist measurement plus 1 inch dart allowance. And on the hip line, I am placing a quarter of my hip measurement. I will proceed to connect all the points together. After that, I would then draw in my armhole. Once I was through with that, the next thing I did was to get the midpoint of my shoulder slant. I connected that to my bust line. Also, I went up by 1.5 inch from the chest line. This would now be my new neckline. The depth of your neckline can be as low as you want. After that, I will be taking in that from the line that cuts across my new neckline. I marked 1/2 inch away on both sides. This would help prevent any gaping that may want to occur from there. Then I would go ahead and draw in a sweetheart neckline that is not so deep in this manner. I would also finish off my armhole in this manner. To put finishing touches on the pattern, I marked 1 inch, which is my bust dart. Then I labeled my pattern. I've got my center front and the side front. It is now time to work on the back. For the back, the first thing I would do is to mark 1 inch inward from the waist. This is to eliminate any gaping that may want to occur at the back. Next, I will mark all of my horizontal measurements. First, I am placing a quarter of my bust measurement. Next, I will place a quarter of my waist measurement plus 1 inch dart allowance. And then I will place a quarter of my hip measurement and connect all these points together. After that is done, I'll come downward by 1 inch from my chest line, and this would form the new neckline for the back. So this is all for the back. I'm just going over to draw in my dart. After that, I label my pattern. I've got the center back and the side back. I want to have a bit of curve along the hem of my blouse. So I am marking 1.5 inch upward on the front pattern, and I'll create a curve that would end on the center front. I would repeat likewise for the back too. After that is all done, I can now proceed to cut my pattern out. These are my patterns, guys. These are the patterns I will be working with. I've got the center front, the side front, and one entire piece for the back. What I'll do next is to place my fabric on folding to mark all of my necessary seam allowances and then cut this out. After cutting, this is what I have. I have my center front main fabric and also lining, and I also iron in interfacing from the neckline towards the underbust area. I did likewise for the lining too. I've got my side front also. I ironed in interfacing on both the fabric and the lining, and this is my back pattern fabric piece. It is now time to join these pieces together. I always like to start with the front, so I would match up my notches. I'm matching up the underbust notch on both the center front to that of the side front. As for the back, all I need to do is just to sew in the dart allowance since I did not split the back into two. I am done joining, and this is what my fabric piece is looking like after joining. I also ironed my seam lines open. I did likewise for the lining, and this is my back fabric piece also. Now for the fabric that I'll be using for the sleeve, I'm going to be making use of this Ankara right here. And the dimension of this fabric is 13 inches long. So for my pattern, I took out about 6 inches from my measurement from my shoulder point. So 6 inches from the front and 6 inches from the back. That will be about 12 inches plus half an inch to join. It is also 11.5 inches wide. Now to sew in my drape, what I'll do is to mark half an inch away from my dart line this way and mark 2 inches away from the armhole area to provide room to sew. Next, I will be gathering my fabric in between this measurement right here. So I'll just go ahead and gather my fabric in between measurements. I'll repeat likewise for the other side of the front of this blouse. And this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like after joining to the front. It is now time to attach this draped sleeve to the back. For the back also, I will be doing something similar. I will be marking 2 inches away from the armhole area of the back, and I'll be sewing in my gathers from that measurement, and it would end on the dart line for the back. I am done, and this is what my fabric looks like. It is now time to turn with the lining. First, you want to make sure that your fabric is facing you. Then I'll be pushing my back inward this way. Afterwards, I'll grab my lining and I'm starting with the front. So I'm making sure that my seam lines are matching up and also ensuring that the center front of the lining is matching up to the center front of the main fabric. I'll go ahead and turn it around the neckline and also turn it around the sides, and I will also do likewise for the back too. After turning it with the lining, this is what I have. The only part I did not turn with the lining is the zipper area because I need an opening to bring out my dress from. Also, I did not turn the hem of the front, and that is because I want to fix a peplum to the hem of the front. To fix the peplum, the first thing I will do is to determine the midpoint of my hem. Next, I'll create a notch that is about half an inch in length. After that, I'll be creating the shape of the curve. So I'm going upward by 2.5 inch away from one side of my blouse, and I'll create a curve in this manner. I'll trim that part out. Next, I would be duplicating that same curve to the part of the back that matches with the side of the front. So what I will simply do is to just place my fabric together in this manner. and I'll just trim off any excess that I have at the back. After cutting, guys, I will then sew down the hem. I will go ahead and finish off the hem of this side that I will not be fixing the peplum on. And this is what it looks like after I was done sewing. Also for the back, I have the hem of the back. That's the part where I won't be stitching my peplum. I have it all stitched down already. And this is the part I'll be stitching my peplum because it will come from the front and stop at the back. So what I'll go ahead and do is just to stitch this down along the sides. Then I will now work on the peplum. And this is what my blouse looks like after I've stitched it down along the sides. Next, I will be measuring that area where I want to fix the peplum on. So I think I have about 19 inches long. So I'm going to be cutting a half circle with my Ankara fabric. To do that, here I'm just going over to place my fabric on fold into two. Next, I will be marking my radius, and I would also be marking the length. I think I went for about 4.5 inches for the length. My radius was about 10 inches. I added a bit of extra fabric to enable me to pleat. After that, I will then cut it out, and I'll be cutting two of these because I will be using the Ankara fabric to line also. After cutting, I want this peplum to be a high loop peplum. So on the open-ended part of the peplum, I'll be marking 2 inches downward and just create a curve that will smooth into the other end of the peplum, and I'll trim it out. I'll repeat likewise for the other peplum piece too. Once that is done, I will then place my Ankara fabric against each other, right sides against each other. Then I'll be sewing it down along the hem. I've got my peplum ready, and this is what it looks like. It is now time to join. For me to join, I'll be getting the middle point of this peplum. I would match it to the side of my blouse, pin it down, pick up one end of the peplum and match it to the end of the place where I want to sew in this peplum. I'll be pleating the excess in between the stitch area or the stitching area. I'll repeat likewise for the other side of the blouse too. I have stitched down the peplum and I have also given it a really good press, and this is what my blouse looks like so far. What is left is for me to fix the zip on this blouse, and I'm going to be using this open-ended zipper. So just go ahead and fix the zip down, and then I will show you guys the outcome of the blouse. So guys, this is what the blouse looks like. I just love how simple this blouse is and how it can be styled on a jean trouser. Just if you're going for a simple and a casual look, this is your go-to blouse. If you found this tutorial really helpful, please give it a huge thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, kindly click on the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Stay blessed and goodbye.